Before delivering these episodes of Sloppy Horror Podcast, I do my best to gather all the information I can on the topics we are discussing. But to be honest, the only scripted part of the podcast are these intros. I think it's important to lay the facts on the table first before anything. Just an educated insight on the major impact of the film before we start to go down the road of our personal opinions. So each night after I get the kids to bed, I bury myself deep into my office where I do my research and put together an introduction for the episodes. On this particular evening while writing, I've had the pleasure of having each of my 3 children barge into my office within a 15-minute interval, with a list of problems including being bored, not being able to find batteries, and the demanding of fruit snacks. After the 3rd time, I snapped with the typical dad response if I'm trying to do some work and I need to be left alone. The moment I got back to my chair, the irony smacked me in the face. I'm yelling at my kids because I have writer's block, while writing an intro for The Shining. I really wish I was kidding. Unfortunately, I guess there's a little Jack Torrance in every dad. I guess that's why this movie also worked so well. It's easy to fear the people you live with. Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece adaptation of Stephen King's book The Shining was released to audiences on May 23, 1980. This was nothing moviegoers had ever seen before. The introduction of the steady cam and Kubrick's methodical and meticulous slow style made it terrifying and beautiful at the same time. The story focuses around the Torrance family. Jack, his wife Wendy, and their son Danny. Jack accepts a job at a secluded hotel for the winter as a caretaker. Once the family arrives and the isolation sets in after a few weeks, Jack and Danny start to have heavy supernatural experiences from the hotel's not-so-good past. There's no doubt this is one of the best movies ever made, regardless of genre. Many say it's the greatest horror movie of all time. I would neither agree or disagree. I just usually stray away from the GOAT debates for the fact there is no real answer. But that being said, this flick is still in the GOAT conversation and hands down on the Mount Rushmore of horror films. It's not hard to see why this movie made $47 million at the box office, and it's still being watched every minute of the day somewhere in the world. If this movie taught us anything, it's that all work and no play makes us dull. So if you're doing something that requires too much effort, what do you say we fuck off for a second, kick back, and let's talk about The Shining. Boom! Welcome to the Sloppy Horror Podcast. I am your host and your scary movie companion, Christian Ramey. And here, again, for another week, clapping them cheeks, the best producer in the world, Ozark Mark. You like that?
Clapping them cheeks.
That's right. That's right. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, you know, man, just another day here in the Slop Pod, making some great podcast stuff here for all the sloppos and the sloppy broads, you know.
The sloppy horrors, if you will.
No, the sloppy broads.
Sloppy horrors.
Sloppy broads.
They're horrors.
Okay, well, you vote on it.
Yes.
Take a vote. Which will you broads rather be called sloppy broads or sloppy whores? I have a feeling it's going to swing one way, but nevertheless. What are we talking about in this episode, Christian Ramey?
Well, as you guys all know, I'm very appreciative for all of you guys that have joined us for every episode, and we've definitely been checking out where all you guys are from. Our people out there in Colorado, our people in France, our people in Germany, and all across the states, really. We very much appreciate you, and that's why these last 2 episodes, we are talking about some of the biggest horror flicks ever. Like, we've been talking about big ones all year. All season, I should say. But these next 2 episodes are Mount Rushmore horror movies. So we're talking about The Shining today. Stanley Kubrick's 1980, Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall. Does it ring a bell, Ozark Mark? Have you seen that one?
Of course I have. I don't know anybody who hasn't seen The Shining, unless you're like a kid.
That's a good point, dude.
I don't think what the age is where you start not being surprised that they didn't see The Shining. Maybe like, it was made in 1980, so it's 21 now, so that is 41 years old, correct? 41-year-old movie.
Yeah, it's pretty old, man.
It is old. But revolutionary the way it was shot. This is an actual, like, film in horror.
Yes.
Like you said before, something that stimulates the brain.
Yeah, it's an actual movie. Stanley Kubrick is a director who wasn't known for horror. Like, this was him coming into horror. So you're very correct there. Now, I will say, and sorry to cut you off, Mark, but I will let the listeners know, if this is your first episode, what we're going to do So we're going to talk about The Shining. We're going to talk about the impact it had on the world, maybe a little bit on us, sprinkle in a little flavor, and then obviously at the end of the movie or at the end of the episode, we'll tell you our rating, give you a final rating, and then obviously we have a fun little segment called What Do You Know? And that's a little flavor. We're just going to put it in your ear, and maybe you know it, maybe you don't. Depends how much you love The Shining. So this is like almost, I don't even know where to open this can, okay? Because this movie pulled in audiences from all over. All over. This wasn't just for the horror people. This wasn't a slasher flick. This was a serious movie that was played all around at, the drive-ins. It's a very popular movie at the drive-in. And the impact of this was huge. It was huge. I feel like more people know the line, "Here's Johnny" from The Shining than they do the Johnny Carson show. Like when you hear that line, you think The Shining for the most part before you think Johnny Carson. And I watch a lot of Johnny Carson still. And which is crazy. They put that, you heard of that Pluto TV, right?
Yep.
Well, sometimes I'll put on there just because I like the old school shows. But then I saw they had a Johnny Carson show or like channel. It's 24 hours Johnny Carson. It's awesome, and they put all the great old guests.
Oh, really? I love when Rodney Dangerfield and stuff used to go on.
Oh yeah, Don Rickles, all those old guys. They're hilarious, dude.
Mm-hmm.
They leave me busted. I mean, they're sitting there just smoking cigarettes and drinking liquor, drunker than a fuck. Like I love it.
Back in the good old days when you could actually do things on television.
Right, and obviously that catchphrase is, that was his when he came in every night. Here's Johnny.
That "Here's Johnny" was actually not in the script, if I'm not mistaken. Jack Nicholson.
Correct. He did improvise
completely improv that, and it's funny because some of the most iconic lines in movies were just done in improv. Some of the ones, for example, Jaws. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
You know that line no matter where you go.
And there's probably a little theory to that in a sense of like, if your gut's telling you to say it, that's probably what you would say in a moment like that, in a genuine moment, if you're really truly acting in the scene.
Yeah.
So I feel like just to drive, or, to steer the ship, to get into the water, the way I want to frame this, okay, so we have Stanley Kubrick as a director, and as we said, he wasn't a horror director, kind of pretense to this. He did Space Odyssey 2001, very much known for his long shots, for his scenery. Great director, okay? So he agrees to do this. Actually, he wanted to do a horror picture, I'll tell you, because he made a movie before this, and it kind of flopped a little bit, so he says, I'm going to make a horror picture, and he locked himself in a room with a bunch of Stephen King books, horror books, and apparently the person, I was reading a story, and I may be paraphrasing here, but his assistant said she just kept hearing books hit the wall because he would read a couple pages of it and be like, this is shit. And then a couple days went by and she didn't hear that noise, and she went in there. He was reading The Shining, very much absorbed by it. Now, this is a book by Stephen King. I mean, and I don't mean to insult horror fans who are listening to this because I know that you guys know this, but I also want this to be not like kind of a gatekeepy show. I don't want to be, you're not invited. I want people who don't know about this also to be a little educated. So maybe you'll enjoy the film a little bit. That's how I am. If I know something about what I'm watching, it's kind of neat. You're like, oh, I know that actor, or I know this story. This is a remake or whatever it may be.
The more you know about movies, really, whether it's how it's made or just facts or any behind the scenes stuff you know about movies, for me at least, it makes it a little bit more enjoyable to watch.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. So Kubrick was upset, didn't have a good film. He wanted to make one, and he says, what's gonna sell? Horror movies, right? So he did The Shining, got really into it. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to mention that Stephen King wasn't exactly fond of his adaptation of this movie. Now, we're going to get into that just a little bit. I love Stephen King. Obviously, I have a lot of... I'm not going to say I've read every Stephen King book, but I would say a good 65% of them. Maybe 70. So, I own a shitload. They're behind me.
That's a lot of reading, sir.
Yeah, and honestly, I love when I was younger, I would actually read, which was fucking weird. I still do now occasionally, but I do a lot of audiobooks. You're in the car. But some of these old books, Stephen King, they're great, okay? But Stephen King, it's his baby. And anytime anybody fucks with your baby, I don't care. What's it like when your wife gets in your car in the driver's seat? You're like, hey, don't be fucking with the seat. Don't be touching, it's your shit. It's your shit. So I can imagine that's 100-fold if it's a book that you've written.
Yeah.
So I know Stephen King sent Stanley Kubrick like a script, and Kubrick just threw it right out. He's like, I'm making my own fucking movie. I'm doing this how I want.
Yeah.
And as much as I love Stephen King, I think the world can agree that they appreciated that Kubrick did it. Now, this movie is considered, and I hate to say this movie because we say it a lot, but it's fun to say. This movie, us humans. Now, anyways.
That's too deep. Nobody knows what we're talking about. Don't do that.
All right, so look here. They come out with this picture. This picture, it captivated audiences all over. And Kubrick, I think it took Stanley Kubrick to do that. Now, if this would have been a Stephen King film, at this time in Stephen King's life, if you were making one of his movies, it almost had kind of a curse on it. Or not saying it wouldn't be successful, but, you know, big production companies were not interested in doing horror pictures. They're like, oh, Stephen King? No, sir, we're out. We don't want any part of that. And which is really silly. Well, I think they end up making a lot of money because they were so limited. You remember when you were watching something that was scary when you were little? It felt like you weren't supposed to be watching it. You were like, oh, shit. Yeah. So I think that kind of translated and why it became so popular, because it was just fought down. I mean, really, honestly, Misery and Silence of the Lambs, which I love, which are great movies, and they're like right there on the verge of horror and thriller. Those are like the ones that won awards first. They were the first ones to like kick it off, and there really hasn't been a lot since. But that being said, Kubrick stepped out on the scene, knocked and blew everybody away. Everybody's so fucking... You know what's really neat? To look up other actors, like, and their response to The Shining. It's been really fun because I was doing a little research on this episode, and I found so many interviews with people, like other actors, like Robert De Niro. He's like, I wasn't able to sleep for months.
Picture Robert, fucking weird.
Picture Robert De Niro watching The Shining. Oh! Oh!
The bartender saying, you. You're
Yo.
good, you.
Yo.
You're good. You're the you. That's why I'm me and you're you. You're good, you.
Yeah, right down there.
Yeah, this was filmed in such a way, and this really, you can tell just by, there's all kinds of, every kind of really shot that you can think of if you're into filming whatsoever or find it interesting. There's all kinds of shot. There's the first really demonstration of the Steadicam shot. That's why most of these,
yes, sir.
You watch this movie, it's 1980, you're probably sitting there watching like, how are all these so smooth? It's like you're floating through. Like, it's not typical of what you'd see in camera work. We got that. We have very long continuous shots. We have
Tell them about the 1-inch shot, Ozark Mark. You know, you're the producer, so you have a better insight on that. I'm very much thinking of Danny on his, the big wheel, and
yes.
The cameras wasn't that like an inch from the ground?
It was. The lens was literally an inch from the ground. Now you think of an inch, okay? It's a fucking inch.
That's crazy.
Like, that's so small. Like, I would be scared shitless if I had anything of value, especially a camera that's 1 inch to the ground. But it looks so. I mean, it's a gorgeous shot, not to sound nerdy or anything, but I mean,
no.
you notice it too. If you don't know about really movies, or you don't really pay attention to the camera work of things, you still realize that, like, this is cool. This is nice looking. And they basically rigged up the Steadicam, hooked it down, just to put it in a nutshell. I'm not going to go too into it. But it was literally an inch from the ground.
And they had it like on like this wheelchair rig.
Yeah, well, Stanley Kubrick had a wheelchair. Because originally the Steadicams were like hooked to people's body. And the Steadicam shots were basically, you had like a vest on with a little arm, boom arm coming out, and the camera's right there. So when you walked or run, it would balance and it would be nice and steady. You know, you can't even tell someone's running for the most part. But Kubrick took it to another level because he mounted the camera now onto a wheelchair where someone's mounting the Steadicam, sitting in the wheelchair. And then you have somebody pushing them.
Is it a disabled person? For the wheelchair?
Maybe.
Okay. I mean, I just figure
do
can
you
give
mean
somebody
mentally? Do you mean mentally or physically?
No, physically. I just figure, what a way to give a job if you're going to incorporate the wheelchair. I mean, you might as well. You can get Stephen Hawking in there. He'd be running corners.
Pretty sucked, though.
He missed his opportunity.
if you get called to a shot and there's a bunch of stairs. Fuck, I ain't getting there.
You're very correct. The camera work is beautiful in this, and it's really like kind of unlike anything else because there are steady cams in other movies. Now this was introduced in like it was in Rocky a little bit, and there was some of that, but with this rig, the guy who, and his name's slipping me, but the guy who invented the Steadicam, he was like on demand during this movie for The Shining. So he was there for the whole movie, and he said that's really where he sharpened the Steadicam knife. That's really where he found out how to use it.
Yeah.
And you can tell because Kubrick, his scenes take so long. And I really enjoy that because it kind of builds a build. It works for this movie.
It's 50-50 with people. I mean, some people, even me, like sometimes, like I have to be in the mood to watch a movie like this because one, it's 2.5 hours long.
Yes.
Of 3 people by themselves in a hotel. So I mean,
it's always when I'm snowed in. It's always when there's a lot of snow outside, and it's like snow day. You're home for the weekend and you ain't doing shit.
Yeah.
It's like Shining.
And you're waking up to pay attention to kind of appreciate it. But if you're just like you just got off work and you're trying to watch it, you will be asleep.
Oh yeah.
Nothing against it, but yeah, there are a lot of long shots, a lot of zoom ins, and we also have point of view shots. Point of view. So there's point of view, there's Steadicam, there's aerials in the beginning. There's all kinds of different shots. Yeah, when they're coming in from
aerials
the mountain,
in the sky.
Aerials in the sky. Yes.
Like
I know what you're saying, damn it. Shut up. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm trying to be educational. You headbang to that every time it kicks in.
Life is a waterfall.
System of a Down is such a great
Dude,
band.
Toxicity was a great fucking album.
I remember
that was a great fucking album.
Everybody had that album. I had that album. Dude.
My grandma
I found it in my old CD collection years ago. I was like, oh shit.
That Toxicity.
But the cool thing about just the beginning, back to the film though, I mean, this is 1980, so, we don't have drones. We don't have any kind of shit, right?
No, we do
so
not.
These people had to go. You have to get a helicopter, a pilot for the helicopter, a bunch of people in the helicopter. You got to get the motherfucker driving, syncing up with the helicopter at the same time. It's not as just like you just show up, hey, you're going to drive down the street? Okay, well, let me fly up this drone. I'll just follow you,
It's wild now, man. Anybody could really be a producer if you get or a director if you get good with drones, or you could get a hell of a job doing weddings or fucking whatever.
But I mean, just the opening, it's just that eerie synth music that. Dude,
the score. Let's good. I mean,
dude,
the score to this movie. If you watch it, I'm glad you brought this up. And I don't mean to cut you off, but you got me excited because the way this fucking score works.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's the feeling of the movie, and that's always what a score is, but like this thing goes together like PB&J.
Yes.
Now, they incorporate the creepy music at like weird times too, even just like chill conversations between Jack and Wendy, and they're just, Wendy, I'm talking to you, and it's just like...
It's overpowering sometimes, but it definitely... It matches the feeling, like when she starts, the crackling one that
and the
makes
back to your
skin crawl, dude.
And back to your drone shot at the beginning of this movie, there is a beautiful shot where they're like coming down this windy road through these mountains, and the fucking music, man, these trumpets coming. Like, you just know some shit's not right.
No.
Like, from the very get-go. And it's beautiful scenery. If you put, some, commercial music in the background of this scenery, it would look beautiful. You'd be like, oh, that looks great. Let's go there. But the shine...
Isn't it kind of crazy how much music has an effect on just a visual? Say if you take that same fly footage and you mix it with some other, like Bob Marley, like don't worry, bad thing.
Have you ever been?
Beautiful.
Let's just say you're pissed off and you're driving to work and "Seek and Destroy" by Metallica is on.
Yeah. Are
Are you going under the speed limit?
I don't think I've ever gone the speed limit while listening to Metallica.
Seek and Destroy. It's just it's such an amplifier that people don't even think about music is. So you're very correct with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have beautiful scenery, as we've discussed, crazy innovative shots, very long shots. I mean, as I'm saying, the length of this movie, like, for example, there's a character played by Scatman Crothers, and his name's Dick Halloran. He's the hotel cook, and he kind of gives young Danny Lloyd kind of info. He can kind of tell. Okay, so
he's part of the.
Yeah,
others.
I'm explaining to you as if you have not seen it. So
you gotta give a synopsis, get a basic
correct
summary of it for those who may not know about this movie.
Correct. So we have Jack and Wendy, husband and wife, with their young son, about 5 years old, Danny. Okay, Jack is a writer, and he's having a hard time on work, so he takes this job as a caretaker for this hotel out in these mountains, and they're out in the middle of nowhere, and pretty much their job's to stay there through the winter, take care of the hotel, like, you know, through the season, make sure the boiler's running, yada, yada. Okay, as they stay there, shit starts to get crazy. Danny and Jack both have The Shining, and The Shining is kind of like the sixth sense almost, if you will, the ability to kind of see ghosts and communicate with other people who have The Shining. So very early on when they first get there and they're getting a tour of the place, there's a character by Scatman Crothers, and his name's Dick Halloran, and he has The Shining too, and he talks to Danny, and he's like, look, this place is kind of messed up, but don't let it scare you because it's not real. Well, anyways, there's a scene later in the movie where he comes to save everybody because he feels like shit's fucked up. But just him pulling in, so it takes like a minute for him to pull, like I'm actually quoting like actual time here, like maybe minute and a half for him to drive down the driveway.
Yeah.
For him to like get out of the car, start walking through. I mean, it's 4 or 5 minutes. It's 4 or 5 minutes for him to walk in. Now, any other movie would have just showed more of montage, taillights pulling up at the house. You walk in, next scene you're in house.
That's another thing, man. You don't really take the time to realize that 4 minutes is a long time, especially in a movie.
Just for someone to walk in a house.
And if you don't believe me, 4 minutes isn't a long time. Hold your breath.
Yeah, no shit. It's like that's fucking insane. So I really much I do appreciate that. It did add a lot of suspense.
Yeah.
And then as Mr. Dick Halloran is walking through the hallways, Jack Torrance hops out and hits him in the chest with an axe. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was a nice kill.
Sure.
An axe kill is always up there.
That's a beautiful axe he has, by the way, too.
It is, man. You know, you always hear about the axe murder and axe kill, but you don't always see them in movies outside of your giants, you know, your main giants, you know, your Jason and your Freddys.
Yeah.
So this was a great scene where the axe was incorporated right to the chest, man. And so for you audio listeners, you're not going to be able to see my face right now, but there's a funny part, like where young Danny, he kind of goes into a shining trance, and like, so his dad kills this dude that comes in to try to save him, and Danny's just like seizing out, just like like drooling down his face, and this music is just peaking, baby. It's hitting high. And it's like kind of fucked though. Like, it's obviously, yeah, it's funny. We love the movie, but like even like with Child's Play, there's parts where you're like, that little kid, dude, that's a little fucking boy. Like,
right.
It's not like a 13-year-old where you're like, he's a little fucking prick.
Right.
That's like a 5-year-old. So you're like, fuck, little buddy, get out of there.
And you know what's crazy about it? Danny Lloyd, the actor, the little boy in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered what it's like to have like kids in horror movies and how to like explain to them like what's going on. But for this instance, they told Danny that this wasn't a horror movie. This is like a drama.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I was like, so you're screaming red rum and writing red rum on the door and picking up a knife. It's a drama.
Yeah, kids are funny like that.
Yeah,
kids are funny.
Very naive, but
yeah, you could like, you know, have them help you bury a body if you just, you know, teach them just right.
Right.
I've heard. But
so then he shows up, he gets killed, and then
that's very fun. That's very fun.
Yeah, so later Jack's just going crazy the entire time the longer he's there.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually goes psycho and tries to kill Wendy and Danny, but you know, they escape. Jack gets frozen in a maze.
Yes. You know, I have you seen the very funny parody of this on the South Park episode where Stan and Randy Marsh, like Randy buys a Blockbuster, and dude, if you haven't, please go.
Is it new or is it older?
I'd say it's about probably maybe close to 10 years old now.
Okay. I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Oh, buddy, it's so damn funny. Like, just briefly, like, he buys a Blockbuster, and this is right when Netflix was starting to pop off, and they're like,
Yeah.
Dad, nobody fucking comes to Blockbuster anymore. He's like, oh, yeah, everybody like, he's like, what if it's movie night? Everyone's coming in a scary movie. Or he, like, just ends up staying at this Blockbuster, and he won't leave. And he starts seeing, like, ghosts of people in the 80s, like, I'm looking for Turner and Hooch. And he goes crazy, right? And it's The Shining.
Yeah.
Or he ends up, like, outside, and he's frozen like that. And then, like, his wife, Sharon, comes up, and she's like, Randy, will you come home? She's like, I'm going to go to McDonald's. You want something? Yeah. She says, what do you want? Nuggets. Oh, I see. But he's like frozen like Jack was. It's very funny.
Yeah.
It's a great parody. And this movie's been parodied a lot. I mean, this movie has had such a cultural impact. You remember the movie Twister? This is the movie they were watching when they were at the drive-in.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another thing we like to discuss when we're kind of talking about a film, I want to talk about, like, what kind of made it work, the lightning in the bottle, so to speak, that made it work. So we already discussed the camera work, the music work, but let's get down to the casting a little bit. So we have Jack Nicholson playing Jack Torrance, and then you have Shelley Duvall playing Wendy's character, and then Danny Lloyd is Danny.
Yeah.
In this movie, us humans.
Stop doing that.
What happens is,
every time you say it now I'm going to start laughing, and you're going to ruin the quality of the podcast.
you're going to ruin
You
things.
ruin everything.
It's my Midas touch, if you will. I touch it, it just fucks up, dude. Should I go?
Shut up and continue on whatever the hell it is you're talking about.
Never mind. I don't. You know what? Never mind. I'm not even hungry anymore.
What were you talking
You
about?
can just get whatever.
What were you talking about?
All right. So what I was talking about, the lightning in the bottle. Lightning in a bottle. Stanley Kubrick. What he had done. This was a long time before the Me Too movement. This was a long time before misogyny was really worked out. Because you have to think of what life was like in 1980 for your typical American woman.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Some worked. You had some, but it wasn't as prevalent, and they weren't getting paid. It was very much the old school mindset.
Sure.
So that's why this movie resonated so much. New audiences complain, and they'll say, you'll hear a real hit or miss on Shelley Duvall. Some people really dislike her performance. I myself really enjoyed it because I understand that at that time frame in America, people were not, like, you're not standing up to your fucking husband, especially your really abrasive husband who's going a little nuts.
Yeah.
So that's what made it scary. Nowadays, girls be like, fuck that, I'd kill him.
Yeah.
And which is good. I'm happy for that. But back then, it was not the, she's really trying to keep her family together. Because in those time frames, well, he drinks a lot, but, he's working on it. Like, they really kept shit under the carpet back then. Nowadays, people get divorces over Instagram likes. Back then, them old broads kept shit under lock, dog. Like,
And
he gets crazy with the kids, but he cuts the grass.
the reason why I think she works perfect is because her, like, a lot of people say her acting isn't great, but I think the way she acted it, she came off as, like, people that are just, some people just for no reason are just annoying to you.
Yes?
Okay, that is Shelley Duvall in this movie to me. Like, she is annoying.
Oh,
to me when she comes in and he's working. Hey, what are you doing? What you doing? Mind if I read some? Just the way she carried herself, like her runs and everything she did, her face.
So yeah, it
annoyed
plays.
me, and then so it makes you feel kind of what Jack's feeling too, is as he's getting annoyed with her. Like, you can understand more from Jack's perspective, kind of why he's starting to go insane and starting to dislike Shelley and get annoyed with her a lot.
You got the trifecta because you feel the husband's aspect of it.
Yep.
Because, and it's really fucked, man. Like I was discussing this earlier with my kids and my fiancé, and we were watching the ass end of The Shining. I was just brushing up, and like my whole life, you grow up and you're like, when I become a dad, I'm going to be super cool. I'll never be mean. I'll never have moments. But the older you get, you realize Jack Torrance is under there. He's under there in every guy. I don't care how fucking sweet he is, how nice he is. There are moments where you're, Wendy, like
I'm convinced that no matter, every husband and or father has been home alone acting like Jack, just about life, just normal annoying things, and you just acting psycho. about just the simplest shit. Like, I remember you sent me a Snapchat one time. It was about something about laundry. And you just came down like, Jack, like, you want me to do the fucking laundry? Ha 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 ha, like shutting the... Everybody
that may or may
has
not
that.
have happened.
Just something that annoys you. Everybody's got that inner Jack in them.
It's such a strong storyline, though, because, I mean, it even worked in Amityville Horror. I really enjoyed that remake. I thought Ryan Reynolds fucking killed it. That's, like, my favorite movie with him, actually.
Because, I mean, Ryan Reynolds isn't used to that. I like when people kind of step out of their element a little bit, especially, Ryan Reynolds did it in the Amityville Horror remake, and then you got just Jack Nicholson here, because Jack Nicholson... Not known for horror movies.
But no, he's crazy.
Just because that's another thing that made him work. You just look at Jack Nicholson. He just looks crazy just by himself. And then him, how fun would it be to act like Jack in this movie, though? Just act crazy.
Oh, it would be great.
Man.
It would be great.
Mm-hmm.
It really would. But think of how strong of a story this is, because you have the trifecta. So you feel like if you're a man, you could feel the husbands. If you're the wife, you could definitely understand that, because that's kind of like... Have you ever heard your dad yell? Have you ever heard your dad have a moment? And everybody has. So it's like, when is the line of like, no, dad's actually going fucking crazy. He's going to kill us. Like, when does that happen? So that's like kind of a real thing that could happen. So like, it's very much a reflection of like how dad's aggression and anger can like really fucking torment a family. Now, I don't think that's what the underlying story is about, but it's very much an image, and it's such a real fear. That's why it worked. If you're a wife, you're thinking, oh, what do I do if my husband snaps? As a kid, you're like, my parents are fucking crazy. What am I going to do?
We're alone in a hotel in the middle of nowhere that's snowed in.
Mm-hmm. So the isolation, sure.
Yeah.
And Shelley Duvall, like kind of the way I was running about with the misogynistic and the Me Too thing, Stanley Kubrick was very tough on her. I'm not saying he like fucking touched her and like beat her, but... Directors were notorious for being different back then. It was kind of the renegade days. As we talked before, as William Blatty did in The Exorcist, where he fucking shot a shotgun and shit to startle somebody. There was just all kinds of crazy shit they would do back then because you can get away with it.
Right.
Well, Kubrick, and there's a lot of great behind the scenes for this movie that you can find. But he very much belittles her. A lot of mansplaining and just like, oh, come on, you got to get it right. That looked like shit. I mean, Shelley, that just looked like shit. I'm telling you. You got to get like, and he's really fucking with her.
Yeah.
And I don't know if on the inside he really is trying to bring the best performance out of her, because it really does turn up on screen.
I think that's why directors do it. I mean, I think there's a very fine line, but doing that, but understand why directors do that, because they want to, like you said, this is, when a director makes a film, this is their baby.
Yeah.
So they want the best. They have a vision of what they want that actor to do. And if they're not getting it, so you got to take different steps to get that state of mind or whatever it is out of these actors.
I encourage you guys to look up those behind the scenes, because I'll be honest with you, more people go to bat, no pun intended, for Shelley Duvall on how Kubrick treated her than she does, because every time she's in an interview, she's like, yeah, it was really tough, and he was hard on me, but honestly, it made a better picture, and you can see it in the movie, and she gets it. I'm not saying, like, that's cool or it justifies it, but when you watch it, he really does kind of, like, you're like, damn, dog, lighten up and shit. Like, he's, like, treating her, you dumb broad. Like, that's kind of his mindset. And so she went through a lot of trauma, and obviously, she's kind of had, a sadder turn in life, but I'm glad that fucking piece of shit Dr. Phil, he fucking interviewed her and made her look like a fucking, like she was dumb as shit and like crazy. And she is a little crazy, but I think they framed it in like a fucked up way. There were times where I really didn't even know if she knew they were filming, and she was just kind of like, just an eccentric old lady. And she is a little loopy, but like, he's a piece of shit. I heard somebody else interviewed her after that to try to make her look not as fucking crazy, because that's sad, man. I mean, I really did appreciate her performance in this movie. She's sitting there with her son, like, It just reminds me of what it was like being younger. Like, smoking cigarettes and shit. And that's how, like, my grandma and shit was.
Smoking cigarettes right next to a kid watching cartoons with, like, chocolate milk and stuff. Like, literally, like, right next to it.
That's how it was, like, when I was young, and it was, like,
Yeah.
it's different now. Like,
it's just crazy that nowadays with the culture and stuff, and you can look back on it and you see something like that. It makes you go, like, what the fuck? Like,
you could be
people
3
actually did
feet from
that?
a building, and they're like, excuse me, my kids are in this building.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck it, I'm smoking in a hospital. You know what I thought about that? And I calculated, like, how many, because they're both cigarette smokers, okay? And if you're going to be snowed in for 4 months, because you betcha she's a 2-pack a day smoker.
She looks like a 2-pack.
Oh, for sure. Back then, those moms, they were fucking smoking more than the dudes.
You got nothing to do. You're stuck in a hotel.
So I think it's safe to say that she smokes like 2 packs of cigarettes a day.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, what's that put us at? Like 14 for the week. Let's just say 15 packs for the week, because she might have a wild day where she breaks into that extra half a pack. So we'll say 30 on the month, right? No, hold on. Is that right? So that's a lot of fucking cigarettes, okay? How many cartons of cigarettes? I feel like there was boxes of cigarettes, okay?
There had to be.
Yeah, man.
There's a shit ton of food. It's got to last them till May.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're in there for like, what, 6, 7? You're there for like half the year.
No, so you're going, hold on. What's that
Those
math
4
break down?
months.
That breaks down to 60 packs per month. Okay, so you're talking 6 cartons per month. How many months? 4?
Yeah.
6, 12, 18, 24 fucking cartons of smokes just for her. And if he's an equal, he's a smoker too. And so let's just double that. Like, you got like 48 cartons of cigarettes. Like, where the fuck did you fit that? I saw you guys driving in. You just had your car.
Oh, dude,
I didn't see no 48 goddamn cartons of cigarettes in there.
Speaking of the times, you want to hear something that made me laugh so hard that I know for a fact that no father today, like new age father, would ever say this. So when they're driving up the hill, he's just sitting there driving, just staring out there, and Danny goes, "Dad, yes,
Yes.
I'm hungry." Well, you should have ate your breakfast.
I'd say that shit.
No, people don't say that anymore. Like, my parents say that to me.
Oh, I say that shit.
But nobody says that anymore.
I let my kids know, why don't you eat your fucking breakfast?
No,
You're
you
gonna
don't. No,
eat
you
your
don't.
food.
You're
do.
such a liar.
I'm the tough dad.
No. She comes, then the mom swoops in right about there and gets them whatever the fuck they want.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
There's no about
If they
it.
didn't eat their breakfast and they told me they were hungry a half hour later, I would most definitely say, why didn't you eat your breakfast? I wouldn't have stated it as a statement. I would have asked.
Should have ate your breakfast.
I would have asked a question. I would have said, why didn't you eat your breakfast? I wouldn't have said you should have. But it depends. Mark, I'm a human being with fucking feelings, man. I wake up upset, okay? And if you try that bullshit in the morning, maybe I'll be a little upset or a little snarky, okay? Once I get some coffee in me, maybe smoke a little weed, I'm okay, all right? But I cannot, the morning time, I get it. There's Jack Torrance in all of us. You can't take him out of me. He's in me.
Yep.
He's come from behind in me. Now he's one with me because he came in me.
What did you just say?
He's come in me. Jack Torrance. He's come inside of me.
No, you said you said from behind?
Yeah, from behind. He came in. Yeah, have you seen Space Jam? It's a basketball movie with Looney Tunes and
Don't
Michael.
talk to me about Space Jam, fucker. You know it's my favorite movie. Of course I've seen Space Jam.
You know when the aliens stole the powers from the National Basketball Association
No,
players?
I don't. I've never heard of this movie ever.
They creep on the floor, Ozark, Mark, and what happens is they come up behind him and they do this, like.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have the Jack moment.
Yeah. When he came inside of me, that's what happened to me too. And now he's one with me, and I feel it.
You know what's kind of funny is one of the behind the scenes clip you get to look up. The other most popular one is when Jack Nicholson's getting ready to do the scene.
Oh, that's fun.
Where he puts the axe into the bathroom door towards the end, and he's kind of like doing Space Jam, wiggling all around like. But just watching him get himself pipe up and get into that psycho mode is so cool to watch because he just looks normal and he just gets hyped up, like jumping around, like murder, kill, psycho.
Is this your favorite Jack Nicholson movie?
Yeah.
He's my favorite actor, so it's tough. I loved him as the Joker.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really, I mean, it's hard to say which one because, I mean, you could think about this forever, but like, oh, what about this movie? What about that movie that
Easy
Jack Nicholson
Rider would
did?
be up there with me too.
Yeah, there's all kinds that even fucking Anger Management, he was hilarious in. Everything he does is pretty much great. So, but I just love how psychotic he is in this movie. So, that's why I pick it.
Hi, Lloyd. Yeah, his ghost sequence. So there's a classic scene. I mean, and honestly, if you haven't seen this movie, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing? Even if you don't like horror, what the fuck, man? It's The Shining. So I'm going to explain this now. There's a bar scene. It's great. Obviously, no one else is in this fucking giant hotel except for the family. Yeah. Well, he starts to go a little nutty and starts seeing people, and he gets in a fight with his old lady, and he starts creeping around the hotel, and he goes to the bar. Obviously, it's empty. They keep it dry. Mm-hmm. Well, he's got his head down, and then he like lifts his head up, and then there's a bartender, and there's mass bottles of liquor behind there, and he just like knows him immediately. Hi, Lloyd. And he has this fucking smile. Jack Nicholson's faces in this movie are great. Like, I could make a calendar of his screenshotted faces from this movie.
You really could.
Fantastic.
Dude, they are dead on, make you believe he's psycho. They're great.
Oh, The Shining has so many great faces for Jack Nicholson.
There's one of the, you know how it goes throughout the film, they go like day by day. They'll just have blank and Monday, you know, they'll jump to like Wednesday. Yeah. You know, there's one, I think it was Thursday. It just shows Wendy and Danny running in the snow, and then it just goes to this psycho face, just this still. I can't even recreate it, dude.
You may have seen it in a meme. He's got this green sweater on, and it's like. Head is tilted down, and he's got this real, it kind of reminds me of Full Metal Jacket. It's got this real, like, glazed over look. Yeah,
and it just slowly zooms in, and that was that day. That was it. He's just staring into nothing. That was Wednesday.
Now, also, too, he just has these bold, audacious lines. I mean, the tenacity and the balls on this man. If you have a woman, a significant other... Okay.
I dare you to say something like this to your wife now.
Try.
There's no way in hell that would fly.
The story would flip and she would kill you.
Oh, this would cause divorces instantly. Like the typewriter scene when he comes in. Oh my God, dude.
She's so sweet too. Like he's working and she just comes in like, "Hey, hon, just want to check on you." And he's like instantly dickish, and he's like, "When I'm fucking working in here, you don't come in here." And she's like, "Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I can make you some sandwiches later, and maybe you'll let me read something." And he's like, "All right, why don't you go ahead by getting the fuck out of here."
That's the summary of it. I love it when she tries to make small talk. She goes, "Supposed to snow tomorrow." He just, "What do you want me to do about it?"
He's such a dick.
He's such a dick. And then it was like, when you hear me typing, ting, 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 means you don't fucking come in here. And she's so calm, like just taking it like, okay.
She's like, she wakes him up one morning and she's like, "Maybe you could take me for a walk when you're done with your breakfast." Like breakfast that she made for him, like eggs and bacon and shit. If anybody made me that, dude.
Oh, dude, in bed, I'm instantly at your disposal for at least the next hour. Or
if you wanted oral sex, I'm right there. I got you.
You don't even need that. You just tell me. You just put it in my face, and I'll go to town 24/7.
You gave me bacon and eggs, though. Like, I mean, I'm going to be excited.
Dude, you give me bacon and eggs in the morning, we'll go to Michael's together, or we'll go to Hobby Lobby together, whatever. I'll go on that trip.
Something that's not in our wheelhouse, we'll do it. Yeah. So he says he's eating breakfast, and she says, "Maybe you can take me for a walk." And he's like, "I was thinking maybe I can get some writing done." And she says, "Yeah, that's all you got to do is just get back in the swing of it, and I'm sure everything's going to come." And he's like, "Yep, that's it. That's exactly what and he had this condensate, like, he was just such a dick. Like, I don't know. If you really watch it and watch his facial expressions, you could really think that these two hate each other. Yeah. Like, he's being such an ass. Like, he leaned into it so heavy. Because I feel like Kubrick was kind of like treating Shelley like she was a dumb girl. Just a young, dumb, pretty girl. And some people might say, I don't know how you find her attractive. Like, and I don't find her greatly attractive, but you can see how in 1980 she had her pretty moments.
Sure.
You do have to understand in this movie, she's in constant peril and being chased, so she does not have glamour shots. Plus, she's being fucked with. But
yeah, Cassandra likes the fact that her lips never touch together. She's got that open mouth. She called it horse face. She was like, you can have a drinking game to how much you could have a drinking game of when she closes her lips, but you'll be stone sober. Thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that shit is funny. So she's selling it I don't care what anybody says, it would not have worked without her.
No, I agree. It definitely has to be her.
Mm-hmm. And Jack. Everything was perfect.
Yeah.
Everything was perfect in this movie. Everything. It's the perfect, quintessential, perfect horror movie. And I'm not saying it's the best horror movie in the world, but it definitely belongs on the Mount Rushmore. It's one of the best 4 horror movies ever made.
I think it's why it's up there. It's just because it doesn't really apply to one specific kind of horror fan. This is kind of like The Omen was. Like, it's a horror movie, but everybody can watch it.
Yeah, man.
It's not too gory. It's not, over the top. There's actual acting in it. There's nice camera work. It's very, slow and very film-like.
The impact
movie.
The impact was worldwide, dog. Everybody had heard of The Shining. Everybody.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah.
You know it.
Of course.
Now, you may or may not know this fact, but I have red rum tattooed across my stomach. Okay?
Yes, you do. And I remember when you got that tattoo in the middle of a kitchen on an old-ass recliner, and there was one girl there eating mustard on Oreos.
Look.
Who eats that? It was like a circus when you got that, but
That may or may not have happened. I don't fully remember.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you regret that tattoo?
No, not at all. That's actually
ever. Like, you're at the cool pool with your kids.
I hate swimming. I like people piss in pools, dude. I do not want to be in a pool. And don't tell me chlorine kills it. Look it up. Look that up on YouTube. Does chlorine kill people? You'll see all the videos and all the things where it does not do anything. You're just swimming with chlorine and piss. It does not matter. You've got diluted piss on your body.
Well, you can drink piss, so it's not really that bad. Yeah, it's a little bit gross, but it's not like it's shit.
Who's in? Is it your personal?
Have you ever been to a water park? You're basically swimming in a million people's piss.
Yeah, I'm not going. No,
it's
I
good
don't.
For your immune system, dude.
No, I'm not. Not me.
I don't drink it. It's not like I drink it.
Like, if it's your pool, like, I could deal with your piss maybe, but still, like, no, I'm cool. Like, I'm cool. I don't want to go swimming. I'm good.
Would you swim in the ocean?
Yeah. Even though it's
there's more piss in the ocean.
Not swim, but like, I'll put my feet in and shit. Like, I'm not. I like the ocean or whatever, and I like fishing. I'm not like afraid of the water. I just, man, you go swimming. There's all kinds of kids. It's just not my scene, man. Like, what are we gonna do? Fucking sitting here and bob around and shit. I'm not 5. What are we gonna play the torpedo game and shit? What the fuck am I going to do in here?
Torpedo game.
Right.
That was the only game you could play in an above-ground pool.
Yeah. What are we going to play, chicken? Or are we going to wrestle? Like, what are we going to do, wrestling moves? I'm not 5. I can't jump off and do suplexes and shit.
The older you get, it's all about the hot tub game.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank
it's all
you.
about the hot tub
Your
game.
body hurts.
Yeah. Pools are nice. Like, I like pools in the summer. Just like, there's like, when the apartments we used to live at, they used to have a pool there,
yeah.
Okay? And they had like a 4-foot end, which was perfect because you could stand up in it, just be up to like your neck almost to the deepest end. But they also had like a little like ankle type of pool. It's like a foot. So you could just sit there,
hey, every time you walk into a pool, though, tell me you don't have that, like, all right, when are we getting out? Like, as soon as you walk in, like, you get your shorts on, you get ready, and come in, you're like, all right, now what? What am I doing?
You drink and beer. No, it's all about drink. You just go to a pool to drink. That's what you do now.
Okay.
You don't go to swim, run laps, do cannonballs. You don't do that shit anymore. Dude, we're over 30.
Yeah.
Well, not over 30. Some of us are just 30, but some of us in this room are over 30. So you just go there to drink in a pool, dude.
So, no, I don't regret the tattoo. I actually want to add more to it. I want to put the twins with it, So.
That'd be creepy.
Yeah, kind of like, below it, and then like obviously, I want to make it more of a prize piece, but no, just because it's me. Like if it was like if I was trying to be anybody else but me, it would probably suck. But like that's me, dog. Like I feel like people would be upset if I got that tattoo covered up. You know what I mean? Like
I
there
would, dude. I mean,
That's-
I love that tattoo. I think it's a dope idea. Just red rum, like you said, just red rum right across the stomach. And it looked like, the way he did it, looked like it's kind of like carved into you. One of the sickest tattoos.
Thanks, buddy.
Probably.
I like that too for the fact that you remember in A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, when Joey's asleep, he's like in this coma. And then they're like, "Oh, let go of him, Krueger." And then he gets like carved in the stomach, and they say, "Come and get him, bitch." Like
Yeah.
I loved that way that looked.
Yep.
And I just kind of wanted to go kind of with that. I just have like I'm feeling stuff around. I'm feeling knowledgeful. I feel like we need to share things with the people. I think there's stuff they need to know.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, everybody in the world, around the world, here, over there, over here, back here, check it out. It's once again 1, 2, 3 in the place to be. It's What Do You Know? Here, we're here to tell you something that you may or may not know about this movie here.
Look, we got a couple things about this movie that we know. So
Yeah,
I
what
want
do you
I
know
want you to
here?
go ahead and start off. You tell me what you know.
Oh, you want me to start off here?
Yeah,
I didn't know I was supposed to start
I
off
want to
here.
know everything that
want
you
to
know.
know everything that I know that you
Yeah.
don't know, that you possibly know, or could have known, but you don't know. So
Who
check
would've
this
known?
out. So, as you know, in this motion picture here, there is a maze on the hotel property.
Junior, it's a maze.
Yeah, it's a huge maze, very creepy. You're never gonna find your way out. So, the final segment of this movie basically is when Danny's getting chased by Jack, and he runs into the maze trying to get away from Jack, right?
Yeah.
So there's all supposed to be snowy and everything's
yeah.
cold. Now, one thing you may not know is that this scene right here, when they're in the maze, was filmed on a soundstage. So you can't get snow on a soundstage; it won't melt. Or you could keep it cold enough, you could get fake snow, but they didn't do that.
What are you gonna do?
Now you could definitely tell this. Number one, they didn't use snow; they didn't use fake snow. They used 900 tons.
Jesus,
That's a lot.
Junior, that's a lot.
Of salt and styrofoam to create the
1,800
snow.
pounds there. That's a lot.
That's huge. Like, you know how
Huge.
heavy that is? And also, one thing you may not notice is you can't see their breath in the maze. That's because it's not cold. It's because it's sodium and styrofoam.
Yep.
It must have
You're
been real. Yo, I'll tell you what, they must have been real thirsty there, all that sodium.
Whoa, what can you do?
Now, what can you do here?
You just roll a couple
But yeah,
pieces
900
of
tons of, is it pounds or tons? What am I saying?
tons.
Is it tons?
Yeah,
I said
900.
tons. Yeah.
Yeah.
900 tons of salt and styrofoam for that final maze scene to create that snow.
That's a whole lot.
What do you know here? You
I'll
know?
tell you what I
What do you
know.
know here?
So, look, they had a casting call, okay? They were trying to get the little boy. So Jack Nicholson was pretty much the guy that Kubrick wanted from the get-go.
Of course.
Duvall was pretty easy.
Sure.
So in the role
Yeah.
of young Danny,
Uh-huh.
they decided to go around and have 3 different casting calls in 3 different big cities around the country here, okay?
What cities were they?
5,000 boys,
What cities were they?
okay?
What cities were they?
Denver,
Uh-huh.
Chicago,
Chicago.
our hometown of Cincinnati.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yep, I
No way. That is
On my mother.
mind-blowing.
On my mother.
Oh, man, that's
Cincinnati,
a good promise
the
there.
Queen City was right here.
Yeah.
So, Danny wasn't picked from here. He was picked from Chicago. Not a big deal, but it was kind of a fun little fact there. You know, I found that very much cool. I really did not know that.
No.
You know, and maybe if you're from Denver or Chicago or Cincinnati like us, you can say, hey, that's a fun little fact. That's a fun little fact that you could put in your pocket. You know, I don't know what you're going to do with it.
What are you going to do with it? I don't know.
It's just something in your brain. It was living in my brain, now it lives in your brain. And that's what I know.
That is a fantastic fact here, sir. What interesting things about this movie that you may or may not have known here?
thanks. It's just I'm very appreciative of information.
Yes.
So I guess that's it. So, we're going to see you next time.
Yeah,
What do you know?
I mean, listen, okay, there's so many facts about this movie, you go look them up, okay? But we basically summed up the most interesting ones for you. So if you want to learn more about The Shining, get on the answer machine, type in The Shining facts, there's 25.
Yeah.
Most of them ain't that interesting, I'll tell you, we did the work here. But we're here to tell you the most important things that you may or may not know about this movie here. So, is that all you know here?
Yep.
All right, that's all we know then.
Okay, see you later.
Yeah.
Wow, good stuff, Mark. Good stuff. It's all about what do you know. Well, here's more of a general question because this isn't a fact, but I do appreciate each week asking each other, what's your favorite part of this movie?
I have to think for a second.
Think of The Shining.
Do you have a favorite part that you know off the top of your head? Because I have to go through a couple to actually narrow one down.
When I'm thinking of The Shining, man, what scene really has stuck with me and impacted me? Honestly, I don't know why. I really enjoy the bathroom scene with Delbert Grady, so the butler, and Jack when he's talking, because it's a very pivotal scene in the fact that whenever Jack sees these ghosts, they're like, oh, longtime friend. Like, and he's very confused. It's like a state of deja vu.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, actually, like, it was very ambiguous, the ending was. People didn't exactly know. But my interpretation really is that the hotel wants to pull you in. Because Dr. Sleep, I don't know if you've seen the sequel, but it even further talks about how people look for people that have the Shining. And there's, like, this group of people who come, like, suck that life out of people. They pretty much kill people. So, anyways, I feel like the hotel fed off of the Shining. And it tries to convince people that they had a double life there. And it kind of pulls them away from the family. So obviously at the beginning of this movie, when Jack takes the job, Mr. Ullman tells Jack that there was an accident there like 10 years previously where this guy went fucking nuts that's doing his job. He was the caretaker. He went fucking nuts and killed his kids.
Which is Grady, and that's when...
You see him in the bathroom,
Yeah.
but he's a fucking butler. He bumps into Jack with the drink.
Yeah.
And he takes him to the bathroom. And he says, oh, what's your name there, Jeevesy? And he says, Grady, sir. Delbert Grady. He says,
Jeevesy.
Grady.
And then he puts two and two together. Then he figures out that it's Grady, the guy who's the old caretaker who slaughtered his family.
You know why I think I liked it, too, so much? Because Jack's really nuts, but he says, Grady, you were the caretaker here, weren't you? And he says, no, sir, I don't believe so. You. And he says, Mr. Grady, were you the caretaker here? And he says... You've always been the caretaker for as long as I've known. And then he said, Mr. Grady, you were the caretaker. like it's a really funny interaction. And this bathroom is sweet, man. It's very 60s. It's like this really vibrant red. I want that bathroom. And wherever, like if I ever had a building that big, I want that fucking bathroom.
You don't want the green bathroom where the naked old lady is?
I love the whole fucking thing. Like the design in this. I'm serious. Like... I've been looking for carpet, the Shining carpet, the major pattern, like the orange one.
Yeah, when
for in
Danny's
here.
playing in there, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But even in the room 237, that carpet is fucking beautiful. And actually, here is a little tidbit, a little fact. So that they did have to change that. So room 237, in the book, it's 217. And it's kind of, there's like an actual hotel, like the Timber Lodge or some shit, and they're like, look, guys, please don't make it 217 in the movie because nobody will fucking stay here. So they made it 237, and that's not a real room in their hotel, so it worked. But it actually kind of, people end up catching wind of 217, and that's their most rented room.
Well, isn't there a room actually in that hotel that's supposed to be haunted?
So let me give you the synopsis here. Mr. Stephen King, he did a stay at the Stanley Hotel, which might be the Timberline. I don't, but it was a hotel, right?
I'm pretty sure it's the hotel that the Shining's filmed at, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
No, it's not.
I thought that's what it was.
No, so the exterior shots are a lot different. There's a lot of exterior shots in this. Some are in Oregon, and then the Stanley Hotel is incorporated with this. Well, Stephen King, long story short, he stayed in a fucking hotel, creeped him out, gave him the idea for this because the isolation.
Yeah.
And then the hotel that he was writing it about, like, they didn't want the bad publicity. But now, the hotel that Stephen King did stay at which I know it to be the Stanley, but it might have changed names. I seen that it has. I was actually looking to get fucking married out there. I thought that'd be cool, but it'd be a pain in the ass.
You ain't gonna have her go for that.
Oh, dude, she would like to. She wants to travel, but she keeps forgetting she has 700 family members. So it's like I don't know what we're gonna do with that. But that's a horror movie in itself, trying to make that coordinate. Now, it's gorgeous. The scenery, obviously, from the outside and the inside, but they changed the room up, so that's a cool little fact. I would like to stay there at 217. You know, I think that's my favorite scene. So did you come up with yours?
I'm probably just gonna. There's multiple ones. It's hard to pick, but I'm gonna go with.
I figured you'd say stairs scene.
That's probably what I'm gonna go with, honestly, because it's between that or it's when Jack first goes up to the door, just like honking and sticking his tongue out, all going crazy-eyed.
Little pigs.
Little pigs, let me in. And he chops down the door. Another cool thing about that scene, real quick, before I get into talk about my favorite scene, is when he's chopping down the door. Another great camera work is, I don't know if you noticed, but it makes it way more intense. Is the camera kind of follows the axe. It goes and then shoots right and stops like so smooth on the door. It kind of like impacts with the axe.
And you get that like beautiful shot with Shelley Duvall right there when she's on the other side of the door, just losing her shit.
But that, I mean, he's putting an axe to the door. It's not, you got to make that special in some way, and that camera really intensified him chopping down that door.
Absolutely.
But I always thought that was really cool camera work in that, which makes me enjoy that scene. But the stair scene is absolutely probably my favorite, is because when Jack really starts, it's when Jack really starts letting out his psycho.
He turns it up to 11.
Yeah, she just found the all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, and I'm pretty sure they didn't go to the props department. I'm pretty sure somebody on set just typed all that out.
Now they rumored that Kubrick did it, but nobody knows. But Kubrick was very methodical, and he was very, I mean, if we're telling you anything about him, he's a lengthy guy. He's very particular, very methodical, meticulous.
Which it makes sense, because that's basically the turning point in the movie anyway, when she finally sees that. But and he's just going crazy, just, oh, dude, there's so many quotes in just the scene. But so basically he finds Shelley, found his work, and all it does is, there's like pages and pages. All it does is says, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Another great famous line from this movie, by the way. But he's just chasing her backwards, and she just has a bat, and she's like just freaking out, and he's just starting to get pissed. What do you think we should do with him? Take him to a doctor.
When do you think we should do that?
As soon as possible. As soon as possible. Like he's just going straight crazy, and just such the dad anger is coming out at him. It's just fucking hilarious.
Wendy, light of my life.
Wendy, you didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in.
Great scene. Great scene.
He's walking up the steps like. And he goes from that to put the bat down. Give me the bat. Wendy, give me the bat. Wendy. Give me the bat. And Shelley Duvall really kind of, Wendy, I should say, really kind of overpowers him. Like, really defends herself well, which you think she really can't, because the way she's swinging that bat.
You're like, come on, Derek Jeter. What are you doing here?
All he has to do is he can just grab the bat at any point and rip it away from her. But she, like, does these swinging things, but when it really matters, she comes up and swings. Like, same thing with the knife. Yeah. He says, he gets hit with the bat in that scene, just, God damn it, and he falls down the stairs.
Dude, you know what's funny? When he breaks through the door with the axe, and then he reaches his hand in, and she chops him with the knife, he goes, he freaks out like
and he didn't even make a big cut. It's like a little kitchen cut. Like, it's back in, and also when he's in the maze, like when he's starting to get defeated and starting to freeze, just
I want that frozen head like behind us here. Like I want to get a sculpture. I'm sure somebody has a like size head of that, so I'd like to get that.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
You think we should just break that right down into our rating? You think we should jump into it and cut it straight with these people and let them know? Do you think so?
sloppy horror rating, baby, yeah!
Oh, all right. Welcome to it, Christian Ramey. This is another segment where I'm the motherfucking host now, bitch.
All right.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about the sloppy horror rating for this movie, The Shining. Now, if this is your first time here, congratulations, you made it. Let me explain to you how this works. Our rating system go. It's 10 out of 10 points. We have 4 categories. 3 of those categories are worth 3 points. The last category is worth 1 point to equal 10 points. And I asked Christian Ramey what his horror movie rating is because he is a fucking horror nerd and he knows about everything that there is to know about horror movies. I don't. I'm just kind of here. So we're going to go on to our first category, which is worth 3 points, and that is casting.
Yeah. Well,
Tell me about it.
Mark, this is a perfect casting situation. This is a 3 out of 3. Now, whether you agree with it or disagree because you hate Shelley Duvall, you cannot deny the chemistry between Jack and Shelley on screen. You believe Shelley was Danny's mom, 100%. Like, it's weird to me to think that if they didn't have a relationship after this movie, you're kind of like, give her a call. Give her a call. You guys should get lunch.
She wants to know how your last test went. Like,
Yeah.
help her out.
Send her a Christmas card or something. They like that kind of shit, So,
Yeah.
birthday phone calls. So you really believe that was her mom, the mom, all together? Because there ends up being a lot of people in this movie, but not a lot of people that get a lot of screen time or matter. But the people that didn't, like even the bartender, the actor's name's slipping me, but that guy killed it.
Lloyd
Killed it, didn't he?
did. Super creepy looking too. But he's just
Your money's no good here, Mr. Torrance.
Yeah, just the ghosts were great, and of course, above all, Jack Nicholson,
You know that scene?
number one craziest dude ever, is perfect to play a crazy man, having cabin fever, ready to murder his wife and son.
Oh yeah,
You would
he's
definitely
just
pick
born
him.
for it.
Yeah,
That scene where they were doing all the like the ballroom scene, where it was like the Roaring '20s and everybody was in there.
yeah,
No one was speaking. He made them like pantomime, like just mime all the scenes and shit. Kubrick did. So when you see them, like, they're just doing that. Like, they're not talking. They're just mouthing words and shit, smoking cigarettes. And then, like, later he added, like, in like, post-edit, like, some noises of chatter. But he made everyone shut the fuck up and just mime.
that probably works. I mean, that's the best way to get clean audio.
It looks kind of weird, though, too, because you can tell that it's new for people. And it, like, makes them look ghostly. Like, because they're like an animatronic fucking thing. Watch it again and watch the people chilling. They look kind of animatronic, and you can kind of tell that they're not talking, but their movements don't look as fluid because they aren't. Like, even though they're acting well,
Yeah.
it just looks a tad strange, and it kind of adds to it. Makes them look like fucking
I'm trying
ghosts.
to picture that now. You're right. Like there's some. I knew there was something interesting about it. I just couldn't really
Yeah.
quite put my finger on it. So that definitely helps. Yeah. So
You know that scene took because that's the bar scene included. So that took 14 hours. They started at like 9 in the morning and didn't wrap up till 10:30 at night.
I'm telling you, man. People don't realize how hard this stuff really is.
They said it took 6 weeks to prep that scene. That's
nuts. That's insane, man.
There was like
crazy.
a
and you wonder why. If you're wondering why so many people like this movie, it's just because I don't know, man. It's just the way it's done. But all right, cool.
tree
man.
out of tree on
Tree
casting.
out of tree. So that's 3 out of 10 so far. So we're going to go to our second category in the sloppy horror rating here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast, and that is kills.
Okay.
Kills.
So this department may be the weakest of all categories, but you cannot deny a few things here. Cannot deny a few things here. We do see a man get chopped with an axe. That was pretty nice. We do see some ghosts and skeletons, which linger more to our fear category, but we do see Jack's frozen head. There isn't a whole lot of on-screen kills, but I think if I'm going to have to rate this, I have to give it a 1.5 for kills, because seriously, the axe scene is so brutal and intense, because you kind of, like, if it's your first time watching this, and this movie's so long that it pulls you back into it even if you haven't. Like I said, the scene builds up very largely where Danny calls out to Dick Halloran and he manages to make his way to this fucking hotel that's covered in snow. He's got like this fucking snow,
From Florida. It took him like 2 days to get there or something. I don't know, something crazy.
Right. So you see this guy fucking get there, and I don't know, he just walks in, and you're not expecting an axe to the fucking chest. And then the music keys in. It's really hyped up. So I will give this a 1.5 for that, because you do have blood coming out of the elevator doors. I know that's not a kill, but you also do get the flashback scenes of the twins, or they're actually not twins. They're 8 and 10 years old. If you remember Mr. Ullman at the beginning, he said, Charles Grady, he killed his wife and his 2 daughters about age 10 and 8.
Yeah.
So which is weird because they look like twins.
They do.
But you do get flashbacks of their bloody bodies.
Yeah.
So,
and you also get a naked old woman.
Yeah.
With a big bush.
Yep.
But that's not a kill, but, it might as well be a kill because you want
I'd
to see
kill it.
She pretty much was dead, right? So that's a kill. I don't know.
1.5.
1.5. Okay. All right. Well,
4.5, correct?
4.5 out of 10. So we're going to go to the third 3-point category, and that is fear.
So this is obviously the sloppy horror rating. So this is kind of my personal opinion, obviously. And, you got your own opinion, and that's fine, too. If you do not identify with Shelley Duvall, you're probably not going to agree with this. But I'm going to give this the fear that impacted the world, the fear that got everybody as a kid. The reason this movie's still talked about. What do you do when your fucking dad goes nuts? That's fucking scary. There's a lot of layers to this. There's a lot of build-up, a lot of suspension. The music in this really keeps you on it. Even if you don't know this movie and, say if you were watching it and somebody came in and sat down while it's halfway on and you'd hear the fucking music, you're, oh my God, what is this? What's going on?
Yeah.
It kind of pulls you right in there. It's one of those flicks that does that. So I very much am giving this a 3 out of 3 as well. It's done beautifully. The way that the suspense builds up, it pays off in the end. It's not a bunch of pop scares. It's a slow, genuine. Bless you, Mark.
Woo. Dude,
Is
you ever sneeze and your back hurts?
Yeah, is that COVID?
No. It's a sneeze, bitch. I got allergies. So, what were you talking about?
Talking about the suspense in this movie makes it a 3 out of 3.
Of course,
because it's an actual fucking movie. This isn't just pop scares. They're like, oh, there's a clown in it. It's scary. I love clowns. We discussed it last episode, but
now this is realistic fear.
It earns your fear. It's not. You're not going in like, oh, it's this that's already scary. You don't know. I mean, you're sucked into this fucking story, and I mean that really is scary if your dad goes nuts, especially if he's been a good guy. For the most part, all dads have their moments. So, At what moment are you like, no, dad's really going fucking nuts? We gotta kill dad. And it comes to that, even in Amityville Horror, if you will, the scene at the end where the mom's just I'll just go for the remake for the sake, but the kids are jumping off the roof and she's getting them, and then he pops out, Ryan Reynolds comes out all and she knocks him out with the fucking butt of the gun. She could have shot him, but she fucking clocked him.
Yeah.
You gotta fight dad. At what point, though? At what point? So 3 out of 3.
Very good, very good. All right, so that is 7.5
correct
out of 10. So we're going to go to the last category, and that's the 1-point category to make it an even 10 possible points, and that is, does Christian Ramey, the horror nerd here at the Sloppy Horror Podcast, fuck with this movie?
I wish this point was worth 2, because I would give it. Absolutely. It's the foundation. I know not all horror fans agree, because, here's what happens. You get horror critics like myself, and you for that fucking matter, but what'll happen is The Exorcist or The Shining, everyone says, and you know what I mean? They'll do the hipster thing, I actually, and that's totally cool, but...
It is for what it is. You gotta take it for what the movie actually is and what it's actually going for. If you have a slasher mindset, for example, when you watch this movie, you're not gonna think this movie's scary at all. You have to get into the mindset of the movie and appreciate what the movie is actually trying to do for you and try to present.
Very well said, Ozark.
It's isolation. It's fucking ghosts and family violence and all that shit. Like you said, what are you gonna do when you're in a hotel by yourself for 4 months and your dad's going fucking nuts with an axe? Like, what are you gonna do about it?
And honestly, you're like, is it like his dad like getting isolated, or is there ghosts? What the fuck is going on?
There's ghosts giving each other BJs and shit. There's another ghost with bloody just popping up. Like, what do you do? There's a naked woman chasing you and trying to strangle you in one of the rooms. Like, there's not supposed to be anybody there. There's a ballroom filled with people. Like, what do you do?
What do you say you do here?
Exactly. What do you do? You're in a maze in the middle of the night, getting chased by someone who's trying to kill you. Fear.
Spooky stuff,
Some spooky shit, dude. It's easy to say it's not scary when you're not in the situation, but you gotta put yourself in the situation.
So that's a grand total of 8.5, if I can count correct.
8.5 out of 10 for The Shining. I think that's a pretty good score for the Sloppy Horror podcast rating.
Yeah,
I think it's very accurate.
That's pretty sexy.
Yes.
And, I'm a slut for slashers. I love slasher flicks, and that's usually my forte. And like you said, this is out of that. Just a great movie. Just a great goddamn movie. And if you haven't watched it, which is weird, but even if you haven't, no judgment. Or even if you have, I will really recommend, like Mark said, you want to make sure that you're awake and you're into it. You could be into something, flick that's 2.5 hours. I really recommend, well, maybe you're not from the part of or maybe you don't live on the part of the world where there's snow, but maybe you get rain. If you don't, just do it on a rain day. But if you get snow, I oftenly watch this movie. I watch Storm of the Century, which is another Stephen King. It was like a miniseries, but it's long. It's like 3 hours long. You remember with Andre Lenoge? I may have showed you that. That's really,
so, probably.
That's a fucking good one. We're going to get into that. We'll have a whole episode for that. But The Shining is up there, buddy. If you're snowed in and you don't have shit to do, make you some chili, watch The Shining. Now that's a fucking
just a
day.
night when you want to relax and you can't fall asleep, basically. One of those situations. Just sit back in the recliner.
Yeah.
And just watch it, because you get into it, but again, it's long.
Keep your remote.
There's some long scenes.
Keep your remote nearby, because there may be moments. It's like classical music where you can be down here, then all of those, and you're just like, holy shit, turn it down.
Yeah, you do. I've had to switch the volume of it a couple times just because that music is so intense in some
You'll
situations.
change it 33 times watching.
Imagine coming out in a theater when this happened. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. Talk about intense shit right there. Uh-huh.
Yep. Uh-huh. That's good stuff, buddy.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So people, sloppy whores, whatever you guys want to be called, because honestly,
Sloppos.
It's up to them.
We got to come out with a cereal called Sloppos.
Yeah, I mean, it's really up to them what they want to be called.
Sloppy broads.
Sloppy whores. Whatever.
No, dude. Sloppy broads.
So, whatever these people want to be called, because we can't coin the name. That's the way it works. They just end up making it happen. And that's what, we definitely see all you people listening. We very much appreciate it. So, this is one of the largest pillars of horror. So, it's been a fucking honor to talk about. I could talk about this movie for another 2 fucking hours. No joke. I really could. But you guys have no idea what's coming next week. We're not going to fucking tell you.
It's the season 2 finale episode to give you any kind of hint. So think about a horror movie. Boom. That might be it. The first one that pops into your fucking mind.
We're talking about Pillars, baby boy.
Yeah.
We're talking about Pillars, baby boy.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you guys are so pumped for next week, for next Monday. And then, we got big things coming, Mark. We really do, because once the season's wrapped up, we're going to take like a week, because we've really updated the studio here. We've got some video stuff. We're going to get really aggressive with our YouTube channel again. Obviously, these videos are going to be up on YouTube as well if you're just an audio listener. So give Ozark some patience. He's a one-man show, but he's good at what he fucking does.
And give me a little bit of time here, okay? I'm doing the best I can here. It just takes a while to create this fucking magic, okay?
14 days!
Well, you give me some time.
Yeah.
Trust me, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna watch it again. You're gonna rewind it, because I'm gonna blow your mind here.
All jokes aside, seriously, I've seen some of the things that he's kind of fucking blown my mind. So it's going to get really aggressive. It's coming up to convention season. We're going to be out there. If you fucking see us, come holler at us. Smack my butt. Smack his butt. Say, hey, we want a t-shirt. And it's not a big deal. We'll hook you guys up. We'll do, the little meet and greet. We can't wait to talk to you fucking guys. COVID has sucked. I mean, seriously, obviously COVID has sucked, but for the conventions, for a lot of things, but for the conventions, it's been really hard to interact with people. There hasn't been a lot of new movies out and stuff to talk about, and that's kind of what inspired us to go to the Pillars.
Yeah.
So,
but the Pillars are good because a lot of people don't know about the Pillars, and I mean they're really good watches again. So.
Yep. So that's The Shining, boys and girls. And then for those of you who do want to get a hold of us, hit us up on Twitter at Horror Sloppy. They wouldn't let me do Sloppy Horror. What dicks? So at Horror Sloppy, send us a message, give us an idea, and then obviously I would really appreciate it if you little boys and girls would subscribe to the YouTube channel so you guys won't miss any of that. And I don't know where you guys are listening, but if your podcast host, be it Apple Podcast or another, has a rating system, we'd very much appreciate a rating, and an honest one, whatever you guys feel. Shoot it our way. It'd be much appreciated. All right, so I'm Christian Ramey.
Yes, you are.
What's your name, boy?
Everybody knows me here. I don't even need to say it. It's like episode 9 here. You know who I am. And if you don't know, you already know because you can tell.
And that's Ozark Mark.
Yeah.
We're out of here.